Little Steely Crew for your listening pleasure. One of the great mashups from, well, either DJ Cummerbund or Bill McClintock, provided that they are not one and the same. But as for right now, they are the legends in that mashup game. And if they get two bands I like, boy, I'm a sucker for them. Even if they get two bands I don't like, I'm a sucker for them. So much work goes into these. People don't realize how much work goes into these. And so even if you hear one you don't like, you know, when you're scrolling through and you're like, that one's all right. You're like, these guys put so much work into it. Cavs are off tonight. They are coming off a win in New Orleans against the Pels. And tonight, tomorrow night, they're not playing, but Saturday afternoon, in fact, it's going to be a 5 o'clock tip-off against the Houston Rockets. Houston's on Central Time, so does that mean it's a 4 o'clock tip-off? Are they playing at 4 in the afternoon?
Yeah,
in Houston? Wow. And then they'll be in Indianapolis, I think, on Monday to play the Pacers before they come back home. I heard from one of our bureau chiefs, a couple of our bureau chiefs, in fact, out Kansas City way about, did you see the hail they were getting? They were telling people, stay inside because the hail, I'll show you the picture here, that was dropping down on Kansas City, like baseball-sized hail, like bigger than golf balls for scale there. And yeah, pretty intense. The whole Kansas City metro area there, they were telling people, if you don't, stay away from the windows and stay inside. They were getting about 4-inch chunks of ice coming out of the sky. Topeka, Kansas was getting them too. They call it gorilla hail because it's covered in pubes. So yeah, thank you. If you listen to us on iHeartRadio from Kansas City or anywhere else, tell me where. Chad listens up the road in Erie, PA. Mark's in Bayonne, New Jersey. Patty listens in Auburn, Washington. Scott is in Sophia, North Carolina. And Renee is in Tavares, Florida. And you can leave messages there for us, too.
Alan, Ken in Pittsburgh here, listening to the podcast, talking about the rats eating the weed and pooping it out in New Orleans. They have those coffee beans that those cats poop out, and that goes for $45 to $600 per pound. So I really think that Mary living in New York has an opportunity to get on the ground floor, something real special here. Rat poop weed. Love you, love me, hate the show. Bye.
Rat Chat! Rat poop weed. Yeah, no, that's kind of what I was alluding to as we were talking about how the police headquarters in New Orleans had been overrun with rats that were eating the marijuana out of the evidence lockers. And so all the rats on there were high. And I was actually just completely unrelated talking to somebody about this the other day, that coffee that's, I think the animal is called the civet, and it is cat poop. The beans are digested by the cat and then pooped out, and it's very, very expensive coffee.
What makes it good?
It's a coffee. The civet is the animal. So I don't think it's a cat, but it looks like a muskrat or something. And it's a coffee that is made of partially digested coffee beans that these animals eat and then poop out. And they're fermented when they go through the animal. And so for whatever reason, at least a few years ago, and this was a big deal, they called it poop coffee. And it was because it was so rare, I guess. They were really charging out the ass, if you will, for this coffee. Seinfeld had it on one of his early Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. I think the one with him and Jay Leno. They talk about that civet coffee. But the rat poop marijuana, because my theory, we were talking about that, was, these people that work at police HQ there in New Orleans, not only were the rats eating the marijuana, but the desks would be covered in rat poop. We've all seen rat poop.
Poundcake, what does HQ stand for?
Headquarters.
Good job.
You didn't think he knew that?
I just like to give him some softballs every once in a while.
So he can come away with a win.
Headquarters, yeah.
Yeah. In what city?
New York City.
I'm sorry. And so my theory was, well, if you could, that poop is infused with weed. And so if you collected up enough of those pieces of rat poop, maybe you could smoke it. So, yeah, that guy is on to a similar. I was reading about how the kids kind of have their had their workaround in a lot of states where weed isn't legal yet. You know, in states where weed is legal, you got to be 21. But there's a lot of kids that are doing what they're calling weed light or diet weed. The kids are down with something called Delta 8.
I don't like any of these pet names.
Which is not a new thing.
No, that's been
but
around
high
for a
school
minute, yeah.
high school seniors are their workaround is Delta 8. Because there's no age restriction on it in states with legalized pot. And so they were talking to a bunch of high school seniors, and they're like yeah,
smoking clove cigarettes.
They're like, a lot of them are getting high with that.
I can't imagine what that does to your body. What was the substance that people were smoking that was in gas stations? It wasn't cigarettes, but it was like
K2?
That's what it was. K2, yeah. What that like came and went. I don't know.
Well, because they outlawed it,
Yeah.
didn't they? I mean, it
think
was
that-
like,
yeah.
I don't even know what K2 is. What is it mixed with?
It's what they skied in Better Off Dead. Right? Wasn't it the K2?
Yes, I
he did
believe
it on
was.
one leg.
Yeah.
I could be at home right now drinking this monster eggnog that my brother makes with lighter fluid.
Where's my $2?
I want my $2. K2 is called Spice. As you know, Spice is life.
Okay.
And, yeah, just synthetic THC.
And that's probably more dangerous, I'm guessing, right?
Well, I mean,
It's made in the
it was
lab.
probably regulated to some degree, but I don't know that it was. I mean, they outlawed it. And they probably outlawed it in states where weed became legal. Because they're like, we don't want the competition. I don't know how that worked out, but. So, due to a loophole in a farm bill from a few years ago, Delta 8 kind of blew up. And so, high school kids who can't get their hands on the real deal were like, well, I'll take a lighter version of it. But of course, and it's always funny to me when the news gets a hold of something that anybody in high school like already knows. You know, like when the news stories about, is your child doing X, Y, and Z? But if you were to go to the school, the kids are like, yeah, everybody we're not dying, we're fine. You know, you're coming late to the game by the time you read about it or hear about it or something else. And then that's when people call their congressman. Are you going to do anything about Delta 8? And they pretend they know what they're talking about. Yeah, of course. Let me look into that. They said there are plenty of students at every average-sized high school who might be doing Delta 8. So this will be the next panic fad sweeping the nightly news will be Delta 8.
Doing pretend drugs.
Well, it's not pretend. It's just a much lower dose of THC. So, you know, it's still going to get you feeling good.
I mean,
Spice
I
is
guess
still around for sure. Tell Poundcake it's still
Yeah,
around.
they
It's
do.
way worse than when it was in gas stations. People will overdose on it now.
Overdose. How does that work?
Well, I mean, anything you get off the street, you know what the hell's in it. If you pull it out of a gas station, you're like, well, I have a vague idea of what's in this. Kopi Luwak is the name of the coffee, I guess. I don't know. So, yeah. Where was that police headquarters, Poundcake, where the rats were eating all the marijuana?
Chicago.
Now he's just throwing a dart. He didn't hear me say Chicago one time. The Leans. It's down there in New Orleans. Have people sent you, I have to assume everybody sent you the story about the Chick-fil-A owner who got scooped up because he was trying to perv out on that girl or whatever?
No, I didn't.
They didn't
see
send
anything.
you that?
No, no one sent me
Oh,
anything.
man, I
When
figured
did this
you-
happen?
Last week?
No, I didn't get anything. I don't think people are going to send me Chick-fil-A defamation.
A guy who owned a Chick-fil-A, Stacey Lee Austin, He's 49 years old. He owned a Chick-fil-A in Belmont, Ohio. Where is Belmont, Ohio?
I've heard of it before. I have no idea where it is.
There's
though.
a university there, if that's in Ohio. Belmont is, it's part of the Wheeling metropolitan area, so it must be right on
the border.
The border there, yeah. Belmont, Ohio, right near West Virginia.
Also, I believe it's pronounced Wheeling.
Whee!
He's tiny.
Whee!
He traveled, they scooped him up. He traveled 400 miles to North Carolina and sexually abused a 15-year-old he met online. So they didn't get him ahead of time.
Oh, wow. So this was not, you say it's always a cop. This person just was not a cop, this young person.
Was not a cop. No, you're right.
He took a gamble. He's like, all right, sweet, you're not a cop. Let's go.
They broke into the family's home in Salisbury, North Carolina, and molested the minor they had met online. He had made contact with the juvenile. It doesn't say if it was a boy or a girl.
I think they're
Male
probably
or
trying
female.
to
Keeping that
protect the juvenile in
there
that
you go.
case.
The Belmont is 110 miles east of Columbus, Ohio. There it is. Yeah, so this guy got in a car and drove 400 miles, and then they got a 911 call from...
I would drive 400 miles.
Oh, my
to
God.
molest a child in the Carolinas.
Never had a follow-up hit.
Responded to a 911 call from the teen's father about a burglary. The caller told deputies he had come home and found Austin inside with his teenage child. They found Austin's underwear in the trash can of a bathroom in their house.
Bruh.
That's a poop your pants move.
Get your... Never mind.
And so he molested the minor in the home. He said that he was concerned about losing his job as the owner of a Chick-fil-A in Ohio.
Lose your job.
In St. Clairsville, Ohio. Looks brand new, too. The pavement looks new.
Yeah.
Of course, I guess all Chick-fil-A's look new, right? Because they probably are.
No, I'm
There's
looking
not a
it up
lot
now.
of 30-year-old Chick-fil-A's.
This looks like a box Chick-fil-A. Like it just came, they just set it down, and then all of a sudden there's a Chick-fil-A there.
Well, that's probably how they all are, right? There's probably a
No.
plug and play with Chick-fil-A.
I mean, they might be, but this one, it's like a different color. It's more sleek, if that makes
Is
sense.
chick spelled different? Is this like a knockoff Chick-fil-A?
Oh, God. No.
Yeah, no, this looks...
This is the Chick-fil-A?
But it just goes to show you, man, you can own a franchise, you can own a location of the hottest franchise in fast food, and you got time on your hands, and you're
Money in your pocket.
and you're a pederast, and you're looking for kids online and driving to meet them.
And
I figured everybody would have sent you that story.
no, they didn't. But again, this is like an illness. Like at no point, that's not a short drive. And you had plenty of time to back out of it and, think about like, oh, you're not I know you say like when you're in a froth, you don't think about it, but like you're not in a froth for 4.5 hours, 5 hours.
Well, I don't think it goes away because on the way there, you're anticipating all the stuff you're going to do. So you're thinking about it the whole time.
Well, what's going to happen to his Chick-fil-A? Does he have an heir?
An error.
I'll take a pederast's Chick-fil-A. The Chick-fil-A didn't do nothing.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But imagine you work at that location and you find out not the guy managing the place, the guy who owns the place, the guy who paid the $750,000 just to get a franchise and had the thing built and, Alan, Belmont, Ohio has got one of the biggest, worst prisons. That's right where that dude's going to be going. Well, there you go.
Why is it the biggest, worst prison?
I don't know. I'm just reading what this person texted. If they've got I don't know. Because you can look out your window and say, it's Wheeling is right over there. I can see it. Alan, I smoke Delta 8 flower, and it legit smells good and tastes good. And get you feeling good without getting you so stoned that you can't handle yourself.
All right.
Well, I do like to handle myself when I'm high.
Mm-hmm.
So,
He be handling himself.
Yep. Oh, the K-12. I'm sorry. And Lane Meyer. He's on the K-12 he's skiing on one ski. He beat Ray Stalin, didn't he?
On one ski. That's crazy.
On one ski.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
God, I love Better Off Dead.
That's one that you need to put on. It's got to be on a streaming service, right? Is it?
Better. I have it on DVD. I don't know if it's streaming. Where is it? This says Showtime, so that would be Paramount Plus.
Ooh.
That got folded into There you go.
Yeah.
Better Off Dead.
I watch a lot of Paramount Plus lately because that's got Cheers.
Yep.
Keep going back to Cheers, and then mostly just Cheers.
I watched the TV adaptation of Sexy Beast on Paramount Plus. That's real good. I watch Halo on Paramount Plus. Yeah, they got a lot of good stuff over there.
I need to finish Love Is Blind. I'm being told the reunion's all messy.
Oh,
and
boy.
Crazy.
I was
a couple episodes behind.
I was watching Floribama Shore this morning.
Oh, man. I watched the first season of that show. I know it's still
Floribama
going.
Shore.
But it's just so weird because they just cast people that remind you of Jersey Shore. And I just feel like this is all contrived because they have to play a character.
What?
But no, but before there was no Mike, the situation, give him credit when it's due. He created that.
No, I get it.
caricature. But these people are just like them. So I'm like, you could tell which one's the Mike and which one is the Ronnie and, the sweet Sammy Sweetheart. I'm like, wow.
But you're still watching it.
No, I just happened to turn it on because it was like streaming live, and I was like, okay, I never saw this show. So I
saw a promo for that Jersey Shore family reunion or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's the new iteration of it. And I loved Jersey Shore back in the day, but I don't care about this new stuff. But I saw the promo, and I was like, oh, my God, all of the girls have new faces, so they look super weird.
They got all
like
that
these
money.
These are moms now, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But the dudes look the same. Like Vinny looks exactly the same as he did 15 years ago.
He was the youngest one, so he aged.
Whatever.
probably
The
the
guy's
least.
pushing 40. But I'm like, the girls, because that's how it lays out, right? The girls, girls are more prone to probably getting that work done if they're on TV because they want to stay looking the same way or whatever. But it just kind of bummed me out. I was like, oh, my God. That's so sad in a way.
Is when they do the reveal, they're like, "Oh, so and so's back." We're like, "What?" You like look at, you're like, "Is it?"
I legit couldn't
that
tell
happening?
one person. I'm like, I've seen JWoww with her new face for a while now, so I'm like, okay, that's who that is. But I literally couldn't tell who the other people were, and I'm like, these are all. I said to Gwen, I go, "Who is that?" She's like, "This is all of the people from the original show." I'm like, why is Vinny the only one who looks the same? Because everybody else. So again, I guess it's a nostalgia trip. Whoever's watching it now. But it's like these people are all parents now.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Well,
way less
they're
fun.
set up for their kids to be crazy party animals.
Way less fun.
They tried
GTL.
to make a big thing about Sammy coming back, and I'm like, bro, it's far too late. Like, no one cares. They tried to do this big reveal, like, guess what house guest is gonna return to the Jersey Shore house. And it was like, Sammy, oh my God. No one cared. No one tuned in. No one's watching MTV like that anymore, and no one's watching Jersey Shore like that anymore.
I guess. At least, I mean, Sammy's one who kind of does look the same. But Angelina looks completely different. Snooki and Jay